So Kim, please tell us a little bit about safe handling and showmanship.
Well, when you're talking about showmanship and handling of a rabbit, handling rabbits and showmanship kind of go hand in hand. You can access a showmanship score sheet on the American Rabbit Breeders Association website to see how it's going to be scored and how many points each item is. As well, I recommend you get a copy of the Standards of Perfection. It's put out by the American Rabbit Breeders Association once every 4 years. And it goes through definitions, the different breeds of rabbit, and stuff like that. As well, the American Rabbit Breeders Association also recommends as study guides the Guide to Raising Better Rabbits and Cavies, as well as the Registrar's Study Guide is another helpful tool. When going through that, don't just focus on your breed of rabbit. Don't say, oh, well, I have a Californian, so that's all I need to know about. Those judges can ask you questions during showmanship on any breed of rabbit within that book and on any definition in that book as well. Not saying they're not going to ask you something about about the Californian or the New Zealand, whichever breed you're showing, but they may as well ask you about other breeds within the book. When you're working with your rabbit at home, getting them ready for showmanship, remember these are not handles. And the nape of the neck is not a handle either. When you work with your rabbits, if you need to control them, you can cover their eyes. You can use their ears as like a guide, but they're not a handle. Also, while you're at home working with your rabbits, I recommend some type of sleeve. These rabbits do have very powerful hind feet and they can scratch you. If you can purchase sleeves like these that I have on, or you can also just take an old pair of tube socks, just cut a hole, cut the toe out of it and cut a hole for your thumb and use those just as well. That just kind of keeps you from getting scratched up and that type of stuff. Most of the time, people will have one rabbit that they specifically like to work with when it comes to showmanship, and that's the rabbit that they work with the most. That's the rabbit they're most familiar with and therefore, of course, more confident and more comfortable with. Now, this isn't saying that when you get to a show, if it gets very competitive in the showmanship, that the judge may not ask you to switch rabbits. So do familiarize yourself with handling other rabbits as well. When you're going through showmanship with the judge is going to ask you to pose the rabbit. Make for sure that your rabbit has the correct pose for the breed. That can also be found in the Standards of Perfection. As you're going through, the judge is going to basically want you to look at the rabbit as he would be looking at the rabbit on the table. He wants to see that you carry the rabbit to the table the correct way using the tuck method. He wants you to sit him down. He wants you to demonstrate the correct pose of the rabbit, and then basically go down the rabbit from the ears down. You want to check the ears. When you're talking to a judge during showmanship, you're going to tell him that you're checking the ears for mites and that type of stuff for a tattoo, that this rabbit's tattoo is 12. But remember, the rabbit has an off ear also. You know, don't think, oh, the judge is on that side and this is just showmanship, so that's all I'm going to do. Check both eyes. Check down the rabbit's top. I'm going to see if I can flip her with sitting down. You're going to flip the rabbit over. Now, when I flipped her over, I kind of put my finger between her ears, and I kind of use that as a guide to help guide her head back, while I use my hand to push her hindquarters under. The judge wants you to do the same thing once you have the rabbit flipped over. They want you to go from their eyes to their nose to their teeth. They want you to check that they have their toenails. They want you to check the joint and the bone on the rabbits, on their front and their hind feet. Check for abscesses down the belly. I'll go ahead and let her flip back over. They want you to repose them. They want you to check the tail. Make for sure that the tail's not broken, that the tail has the color, the correct color it's supposed to have. In all of this, every time your rabbit's sitting, make sure your rabbit is posed as well. They may ask you questions about the fur of the rabbit. You also need to demonstrate that it has the correct fur and what type of fur it is. Like we said, the Californian is the flyback fur.